The Soviet Union itself is no more.
The United States military has begun strikes.
Light them all up.
Считаю, что для современного мира однополярная модель не только неприемлема, но и вообще невозможна.
Народные республики Донбасса обратились к России с просьбой о помощи. Мною принято решение о проведении специальной военной операции.
Russian military is taking chips from dishwashers and refrigerators to fix their military hardware. Russia's industry is in tatters.
Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been.
Hello, welcome back.
Christos Anesti, Christos Voskressi, Christ is risen, Orthodox
He
Christian.
is risen. Happy Easter
Happy
to all
Easter.
of our Orthodox brothers and sisters.
That's it.
We are currently blockading the blockade. That's where we are. It's an Easter miracle coming from the United States. We also have an Easter disappointment coming out of Hungary. We'll be live in a second from Hungary. But first, what did you do tonight? You will look like you were out Saturday Night Fevering.
Oh, here we go. No, I was celebrating Pascha with Stanislav, our beloved Stanislav Krapivnik and his family here in Moscow. We went out to his place. It was fantastic. Fantastic. We had a great Pascha, a lot of good food, good meat, everything. And finally, the fast is over. Now comes the beautiful, bright week, and we're having a great time. So life is good. I went to a beautiful, beautiful Pascha service last night here in Moscow. It was fantastic. Fantastic.
Sorry, my dog's got the zoomies for some reason, but really.
I heard something going on back there. I said, What's happening?
But really quick, I want to tell you guys, go to Substack and check out this really interesting article by our newest writer, Juju, out of Nigeria. And it's going to be a series of articles, 3 articles about a spy network inside of Nigeria connected to a you-know-who.
Oh, yeah.
Tasked with promoting ideas of Christian genocide in Nigeria. Fake news.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, are we ready to go with Hungary?
I think so. I think do we have our correspondent live?
Correspondent.
Do we have our correspondent live with
Oh my god, look at him.
Whoa!
Look at him. Look at him.
Hey guys.
How are you? Good to see you, brother.
Shalom.
Why is
Shabbat
everybody
shalom.
saying shalom? That's the 3rd time I heard it.
I don't know. I just really.
All the goyim.
It's a conspiracy. You got to say shalom, or you get banned. So I just throw no shalom in here and there, and my numbers never go down.
There you go.
Perfect.
Well, you're reporting live from Hungary. About
Yeah.
a few minutes after the concession of Orban. What? Tell us about. We didn't really cover the election at all, so you can tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, look, I've been here like a week, okay, and I've been talking to anybody. The Hungarians are great. Such a beautiful place to be. Budapest is incredible. Such history, architecture, all the stuff I like. Nice beer. What's not to like about it? It's a great place. Great, resilient people. But you know what I feel now tonight, listening to Orban concede defeat, and it was a huge defeat. Like, there's about 75% now of the votes counted, and they have like over 2/3 of the seats in the party. This is going to be a super majority for this guy, Magyar. A very controversial guy, a lot of issues in his private life. And I'm hearing now, actually here tonight, from some of the supporters in Fidesz saying, he's going to be much more right-wing, actually, than Orban. Because I get a sense tonight that Orban was really tired. He said in Hungarian, which we've just read the transcript. He said, now at least we don't have to govern anymore. He looked really tired.
Jeez.
And you could kind of sense that, Now, something else that I noticed tonight was that, people were hoping beyond hope really here. We were seeing some, at the start of the night, there was a bit of excitement. Oh, maybe we'll edge it. But this tidal wave just happened very, very quickly. And by the time we had 30% of the vote count, it was clear. You could see the map. It was a complete wipeout for Fidesz, who are kind of center-right, really. And you've got this new party, TISA, which nobody knows that much about. This guy, Magyar, a controversial guy. I've been doing some videos about him this week. A bit of a party boy, has a history. But it seems it was more about anybody but Orban than it really was about Magyar. Because Magyar, if this was an election in France, Germany, Spain, or the US, Magyar wouldn't have got on the ticket because of the stuff he has in his background, partying, his ex-girlfriend, or doing all kinds of crazy shit with etc. So people just wanted a change. I think it was just that he's been carried into power on the wave of this desire for change. Like 16 years Orban's been in power. And one last thing I'll say that I think is important, because people are also saying to me online, oh, wow, this is the end. This is going to be terrible. And Ursula von der Leyen has just gone on and said, oh, this is great. The European family's back together. Magyar isn't going to send weapons to Hungary. He's not going to send to Ukraine. He's not going to send more money to Ukraine. He's also said he's not going to cut off Russian energy today, tomorrow, or the next day. He's going to commit to weaning himself off it over a long period of time. We've heard that all before. So Magyar's policies don't differ on the key issues that much from Orban's. And here's a prediction, guys, right? I say Magyar is going to be a bigger stone in the shoe of the EU than Orban was, because he's younger, he's more cocky, and now he's going to get behind the wheel here. I think it's going to be a really rough ride for the European Union now with Magyar, keeping him on the lead, because he's a tough little boy. And I just think it ain't going to work out as the big happy ever after that the EU and Macron and all these these elite globalists in the European Union are now tweeting, oh my God, I don't think it's going to work out that well because Magyar, remember, came from Fidesz. He was a loyalist. He was married to the Fidesz justice minister, which they went through a very public breakup as well. So he's from a legal background. He's from a very elite family here. This is going to be a very interesting story. I don't think Hungary's going to drop off the radar anytime soon. And my prediction is that Magyar will become a bigger pain in the ass for the EU than Orban ever was. Because Orban's a wily old fox, you know. He kind of reminds me of Erdogan a bit, right? He's a bit of an Erdogan about him. He was friendly with the Russians, friendly with the West, trying to keep things going, you know. And then maybe, was it the kiss of death, Chris, from JD Vance? Was there a kiss of death?
What I was going to ask you if you thought that the JD Vance endorsement and the Netanyahu endorsement.
You know, Sarah, the numbers say that that's not the case. This was game over, I think. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. People want to change here. It could have been Chris. He's a good-looking guy. Look at him. Put him in the suit. Put him on the open-top bus. Send him down through Budapest a few times. I reckon people would have voted for him instead of Orban. People had had enough. I don't think it's about Magyar. But again, I think there's a bit of a Trojan horse here. I think Magyar, when he gets into power and gets into control here, he knows how valuable Hungary is. And after watching his old political master and, you know, soothsayer and teacher, Orban, how Orban put his foot on the throat of the whole European Union, 90 billion euro loan to Kiev. Give me a fucking break. Who's ever loaned anything to Kiev and never seen it again? So this 90 billion loan, you still have Robert Fico in Slovakia. You've got Babiš in the Czech Republic. So this idea, this is the collapse of resistance in the EU against the war in Ukraine. Magyar is also very much, neutral on the war in Ukraine. He's not going to give weapons. He's not going to give money. And he's also spoken a lot about the social issues in Hungary because of a lot of Ukrainian refugees. So that's how I see it.
Can I ask you, Shay, really quickly, do you see, has Magyar yet come out with any sort of support for Slovakia or Czech Republic? Have we seen anything like that? We know about the vis-a-vis Russia, but has there been any position of Magyar vis-a-vis the European Union and how his relationship will be with von der Leyen and Kaja Kallas and the rest of the crew from the European Union?
Yeah, look, as I say, essentially Magyar, you'd have to describe him as Eurosceptic. He's a bit warmer about the EU than Orban was, of course, because Orban went into conflict with them because he just said no. He said, remember, Hungary is getting fined €1 million a day for refusing to allow illegal immigrants across the border here in accordance with EU migration law. He's refusing to do that, and he's getting charged €1 million a day. Magyar hasn't said he's going to stop doing that either. He hasn't said, oh yeah, we're going to do exactly as we're told by the EU. So it feeds back in, Chris, this idea, will Magyar be this golden boy for the EU? I don't see it. He certainly hasn't acted or said like that. And here's something interesting, which is, feeds into your point. Everywhere I've gone here, a lot of young people, yeah, we want change. We want Magyar. We want Orban gone. Fine. And then I say to them, what about immigration? What about energy? And they say, oh, we support him on that. He's right on energy and he's right on immigration. So they're two things that almost everybody agrees with. And Magyar's policies on immigration and on energy don't seem that different at all. So there you go. It's not that huge, sea change in policy. I don't think you're going to see it. I don't think you're going to see it here.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
Thank you so much, Shay, for bringing us the latest from Budapest. We wish you a safe trip back. And thank you for all of your great ground reporting and breaking news that you're bringing to us from Hungary. We really appreciate it.
I do breaking news. You do breaking legs, Chris.
I love it so much.
All
you
right.
know it.
And Sarah does breaking hearts.
Oh,
I love that guy.
There you go.
On that
You
note,
like that?
on that note, we better.
The payroll.
Orban's over there laughing. He's laughing. Orban's laughing.
All right. You have a good
Lots
one.
of
We'll
love,
talk
Shay.
soon.
Lots of love. Take care. Be safe.
Love him.
Love him.
What a good way to. Now I don't even want to talk about the rest of the episode.
Well, we have a lot to talk about. I know.
These talks. Let's get started, I guess.
Let's get started on the talks.
I was on pins and needles all night. I
You
really
and me
was.
together.
I was on pins and needles I was like following the thing. I was translating every piece of Iranian state media I could get my hands on. But what we do know is that 21 hours of negotiations transpired and we came out with no deal. I want to talk to you a little bit beforehand about the format. So I don't have the full list of the American delegation. We did get the full list of the Iranian delegation, and it was 86 people broken down then into 5 different committees. Most of these people had doctorates, were experts in their fields, and it was just I'm laughing. I have like this smirk on my face because I was talking to the producer and I was like, who are these people going to negotiate with?
Exactly.
And I was like, I don't have a full manifest, but we know like the leaders of this talks was Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner. Who are these people supposed to talk to? And then I was like, we don't even have the equivalent of this in our government to like grab that. You know what I mean? Even if in a perfect world, we were like, okay, Vance isn't going to lead this. We're going to put somebody equal to Halibut. We don't have that person. We don't have that person. So what do you think of the fact, like, I think it was Professor Morandi who was like, we really went into this to the way that we did to show that we were serious and to show that they weren't. What do you think about the way they showed they were rolling deep?
First and foremost, as somebody who's done work at the United Nations, who's done work in international diplomacy, when you do diplomacy, you got to go in with an open mind and with the idea that you have to give up something to get something, and that there has to be, and always we said in the law, when I studied the law in law school, what did we say? We said that if both people are unhappy with the settlement, it's a good settlement, ultimately, right? So that you have to give both sides, one side cannot go in and win or take all. It's just not going to work that way, okay? So what ended up happening? The Iranians were flexible about some things. They were not flexible about other things, but the Americans were not flexible about anything. They were not willing to give up anything. They had their agenda and they weren't flexible at all. Of course, negotiations aren't going to work if the U.S. isn't flexible. If the U.S. is not flexible, if the U.S. is not willing to, go down a couple pegs and to try to speak to Iran one-on-one as an equal partner, as an equal nation, not in some hegemonic, superiority complex, well, then, of course, if the U.S. goes in like Donald Trump on The Apprentice, nothing's going to happen. This is not a relationship of master-slave. Iran doesn't operate that way. And no sovereign independent nation is going to do that. None of them. None of them are going to accept that, no matter how small they are, no matter the consequences. They just aren't. So when the U.S. goes in these and they say, okay, they start strong-arm Iran. As you said, Iran is full of expert negotiators, expert diplomats, people with PhDs in international relations, business, marketing, you name it, Orientalism and English literature, like Professor Morandi, right? These people are not going to accept anything like that. So that's the key to understand. The U.S. doesn't do diplomacy as it used to do. The one reason why they killed JFK was because he was open to this kind of diplomacy. He was back-channeling with Fidel Castro. He was back-channeling with the Soviet Union. He was looking at them as equals, as partners for peace, not in a, superior, inferior relationship, as sort of a, one is submissive and one is, the one who exerts all power and control, right? That's the key here. The key is, in order for diplomacy to work, both parties have to be equal partners in this, and they have to go into it with that as the key element. If they don't, the negotiations fail automatically. And people will know this on their personal level, from family law, from personal law and civil law. That's how the law works. That's how basic relations work in life. So I think that's one of the big reasons why this failed. Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner were not interested in meeting Iran on its own level. They were interested in exerting pressure and threatening Iran. And that's what Ghalibaf said. That's what Araghchi said. They came in with the same sort of mentality. So we're going to strong arm you. We're going to blockade you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Give everything up. You cannot defeat a nation like that. And Iran is a proud nation. Like we said, we're going to say it again and again until all of our viewers and listeners understand. Iran is a civilization state. It's not going anywhere. It will not bow down to anyone. It certainly didn't bow down to Hulagu Khan when he came in and murdered, a million plus Iranians. Please, they're not going to bow down to the orange window liquor here,
Yeah, exactly. And so let's go over some of these points. Obviously, the points that were discussed were the Strait nuclear program, reparations, lifting of sanctions, and a complete end to the war to include Lebanon and Yemen. The United States demands were ending uranium enrichment, dismantling nuclear facilities, handing over the highly enriched uranium, stopping financial support for the axis of resistance, and fully opening the Strait of Hormuz without tolls. And we're being told today, I just got this while we were going live, is that is what the U.S. is saying. That is our final offer. That's been your offer the whole time. What do you mean? So they haven't budged at all.
That's not an offer. That's not an offer.
So I guess the sticking points were Iran wanted Lebanon to be included in the ceasefire, which Israel obviously refused to. And then there was weird the politics going on inside of Lebanon at the same time. Iran wanted reparations. The U.S. has refused and rejected that. And the U.S. wanted a nuclear commitment. And Iran says they already offered you this and we got bombed anyway. So no deal. So that's kind of where we're at. Then we have this interesting thing that happened yesterday was this kind of back and forth between IRGC and CENTCOM. CENTCOM says that they had started operations to demine the Strait of Hormuz, which is strange because they didn't bring any deminers with them. But they said that two DDGs, shout out, two DDGs crossed the strait, and they, under their quote, operated in the Arabian Gulf. I'm sorry, they called it the Arabian Gulf as part of a broader mission right, of course, to ensure the strait is fully clear of sea mines previously laid by the IRGC. This kind of sent me into a little bit of a tizzy. But I want to play the IRGC story and then we'll talk about both. So here we have this clip from Press TV.
U.S. Navy warship 121. This is SEPA Navy station. You must alter course and go back to the Indian Ocean immediately. If you don't obey my order, you will be targeted. Out.
This is Coalition Warship 121, engaged in transit passage in accordance with international law. No challenge is attended to you.
U.S. Navy warship transiting in the vicinity of Fojay Report and Oman Sea. This is SEPA Navy. This is SEPA Navy. Last warning, last warning, last warning.
Close to High Island 4.
Attention all vessels, attention all vessels, attention all vessels in Oman Sea. This is Iranian SEPA Navy. If you see any warship in your vicinity, keep a distance more than 10 miles from them because I'm ready to open fire on them without any warning.
So that's what we have. And then those ships immediately turned around and exited the area of the strait.
They did.
What the United States is doing, I don't know. What are your thoughts on this sort of evolution?
This is brinksmanship. This is a classic sort of military strategy. They're testing Iran's limits, and Iran in turn is testing how far the U.S. is willing to go before they engage. So this level of brinksmanship is always very dangerous because if one goes too far and then the response comes, it can, of course, then lead to the chain of escalating violence. So I think that it was very close, very, very close. It was very close to an exchange and the possibility of sinking not one but two destroyers. So I think that's very important to recognize. What we heard from the Iranians was that they had anti-ship missiles aimed and locked in on the vessels that were coming from the United States. That would have been a very big deal if they had pursued course. But clearly, because the negotiations were still in that negotiating stage, they were not really happening at that point, but still it was in that phase of negotiations and that aura and atmosphere. So they didn't want to push it. But That doesn't mean that coming up now this week, they won't try to push it now. And it depends. We'll see what Trump ends up doing. He has said that he wants NATO, and he made an announcement. We'll get to that, I think. He said that he wants to bring NATO into this. We'll see if that ends up happening. The British have so far said no. So we will see what that looks like. Oh, I think you're muted.
There we go. What we do have is last night, Trump posted, he shared an article from some weird website called Just the News, which I've never heard of, but it talked about floating the idea of a U.S. naval blockade using the Venezuela playbook in the case of failing talks. But the problem is that Iran is not Venezuela. And so we're also talking about blockade today. So last night I wrote this out, but the Strait is only 33 kilometers wide. So every ship that enters is under full range of Iran's coastal arsenal. Correct. So the anti-ship ballistic missiles have a 300 kilometer range and are designed specifically to hit moving ships at sea. The Noor and the Qadir missiles fired from mobile launchers hit it in coastal caves, cover the entire strait from the Iranian shoreline. Iran has an estimated 5,000 to 6,000 naval mines, including influence mines that sit on the seabed and are nearly impossible to detect. IRGC fast attack swarm boats are designed specifically to overwhelm U.S. destroyers and confined waters. A classified DoD war game found the U.S. lost 16 major warships, including a carrier, to Iranian swarm tactics. Iran controls 3 fortified island outposts, Larak Keshem and Abu Musa, sitting directly on the shipping lanes, each with underground bunkers and missile batteries. FPRI experts note Iran is running an insurance blockade. It only needs to strike occasionally to make insurance uneconomical for commercial shipping. So we'll get more into it, but there's really not a way for anybody to remove the Iranian blockade, especially by blockading it. But we'll get more into that. Let's see what else Trump had to say. So here are Trump's posts from today. Yeah, I'm sorry.
This is longer than any Trump paper in college, I think.
Just kind of barking. I guess some key points most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Iran is unwilling to give up its nuclear ambitions. But of course, he said the Iranian and United States reps were very friendly and respectful. He said, effective immediately, the U.S. Navy will blockade all ships entering or leaving Hormuz. He instructed the Navy to interdict every vessel that paid toll to Iran. Will destroy Iranian mines. Other countries will be involved. Any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. We are fully locked and loaded. Our military will finish up what little is left of Iran. So that's
okay. That's a lot of cope.
That's a lot of cope. But what also interesting, where was Trump and our Secretary of State last night during probably the most important talks of almost a century?
Thank you for doing what you're doing. You're a beautiful guy. Great fighter. Thank you. Put me some more than when they stop fight. I'll give you a model. You look so good. You're too good looking to be a fighter. You are a silk fighter. Thank you, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
That's funny. Thank you, Mr. Trump.
Trump was hitting on UFC fighters, and Rubio was hammered drunk. He was also there with we have no ambassador to Pakistan, by the way, because our ambassador left in 2025. We never did another one. And our chief of not intelligence. It was the chief of South and East Asia was there with them, while Vance, Kushner, and Witkoff are doing negotiations in Islamabad. This is not a serious country.
Serious country? This is a joke of a country. This is worse than Nero burning down Rome and playing the fiddle or whatever.
Why wasn't our Secretary of State this is the most important. We haven't spoken to Iran in this format since before the revolution. So almost 3/4 of a century. So half a century. So, and these two are like they're off watching like men beat up each other instead of like they're not even interested in politics. They're not even interested in their jobs.
I mean, what can you say? This is empire in decline. This is really bread and circus. When you think about
100%.
100%. Come on.
This is like Babylon.
This is Babylon.
It's not even, we're past Weimar. We're in Babylon. Like, this is crazy. Like,
you know, my dad used to say, this is really the land of Sodom and Gomorrah. Like,
I just don't. I don't get it. Like, why weren't you at the talks? I understand why Trump can't be at the talks. I mean, he should have been there, but I understand why he wasn't.
The foreign minister, he should be sitting across from Aragchi and using his so-called diplomatic skills. All these motherfuckers went to Harvard and things like that. The least they could do is use maybe some level of intelligence to go and speak to the people one-on-one, understand their culture, their history, their civilization. Instead, they're licking the window along with the window licker.
It's just,
what's going on? What kind of country is this? You know, when you think about like Lavrov and Aragchi and all of the other foreign ministers, China's foreign minister, DPR, these are serious people. This is serious business. The rest of them are is a goon squad, you know? What are they up to?
But do you think that now other people, I had said this before the talks began, I said, this feels like him setting JD Vance up for failure because everybody knew the talks would fail. We did know that, you know, the Iranians are obviously went in good faith, but everybody knew the talks would fail and Trump knew the talks would fail. And this was him setting Vance up for failure. And this was kind of him signaling that, you know, Marco Rubio is the favorite.
Could be. Very well could be. It's a very good explanation. There could be some internal politicking going on.
I heard there's a big schism between the Vance camp and the Trump camp.
Certainly there's a schism. There's also the midterms coming up. There's questions about 2028. There's questions about Trump's mental health. There's a lot of things floating around now. A lot. Don't forget, like we just mentioned, JD Vance went to Hungary to Orban, kiss of death. Orban lost. There's a lot of stuff floating around in the ether.
Yeah.
So
JD Vance visits the Pope, he dies. JD Vance goes to the Iran talks, they fail. JD Vance endorses Orban, he loses. Really not. This dude's not batting 1,000, I guess. Okay, so we had those tweets that we showed you, or sorry, truths are Trump's from posts from today. Trump also had an interview with Maria Barratara, or whatever her last name is. I have some clips from that. I love Maria because her face is so funny because she's always looks like, because her face is so filled with fillers and Botox that she always just looks disgusted. She's always just like, but so here's Trump today. We only have a few clips, but guys, it's a 40-minute interview. She literally had to like talk him off the call at the end. So if you have time, go watch the whole thing. But here's some of it.
Well, we're going to be blockading. It'll take a little while, but it'll be effective pretty soon. And we had meetings yesterday. They, as you said, lasted 21 hours. That was a long meeting. We had some very, very good representatives, as you know, JD and Steve and Jared. So we were well represented, but we didn't get there on the important issue. They want to have nuclear weapons. They're not going to have nuclear weapons. I've been saying that for 30 years. I would never allow that to happen before I was in politics. And that country will not have nuclear weapons. Most countries shouldn't be allowed to have, but that country will not have nuclear weapons.
Mr. President, does Israel deserve to have nuclear weapons?
Israel doesn't deserve to exist.
Oh, we agree. But listen, Iran has a fatwa against nuclear weapons. What are they talking about? When has Iran ever said they want nuclear weapons?
Well, there we go.
Doing well at all. They're getting killed. I could take out Iran in one day. I could take down in 1 hour. I could have their entire energy, everything, every one of their plants, their electric generating plants, which is a big deal. And I hate to do it because if I do it, it takes you 10 years to rebuild. They'll never be able to rebuild it. And the other thing you take out are their bridges. I took out one just to show them because they went public with a statement that wasn't true. They admitted it. I say, I'm going to take out a bridge. And I took out a bridge. And that was the end of that. Now they've been really behaving quite well. But in 1/2 of a day, They wouldn't have one bridge standing. They wouldn't have one electric generating plant standing. And they're back in the Stone Ages. I'd rather not do that. But I do believe they're going to come to the table on this, because nobody can be so stupid as to say that we want to have nuclear weapons and they have no cards. They have no cards whatsoever.
So
Tehran in one day.
We're back at the Stone Age. We're back at the Stone Age. We're back at the 1 hour. We're back at sort of the nuclear threat and the nuclear shadow. We're back at this kind of genocidal language and war. He's just announcing war crimes, and who's going to hold him accountable? I'll destroy everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Netanyahu speaking, by the way.
We'll get to that. And I also think that Trump is, art of the deal. Trump is just obsessed with making the deal, or the creation of the deal. And if that's why he didn't go to the talks in Islamabad, if there was a deal to be made, he would have went. Right? There was no deal to be made. And Trump's, remember how he went to the Gulf and he's like, I made so many deals. None of those things came true. I think one smelter was open for aluminum in Kansas or something like that. But for the most part, 90% of those things never came true, but it was the deals that he was always so braggadocious about. And obviously art of the deal. He's the king deal maker, I guess. But here he is threatening China.
But Mr. President, just to be clear, you said the other day that any country that supports Iran and sends military equipment to Iran will face a 50% tariff if they try to bring products. Did you refer to China? Did you mean China?
Yes, and other people, but yes, China too.
Okay.
If we find that China, because I hear news reports, so a news report doesn't mean much to me because they're so fake, but I hear news reports about China giving the shoulder missiles, what's called a shoulder missile, anti-aircraft missile. I doubt they would do that because I have a relationship and I think they wouldn't do that, but maybe they did a little bit at the beginning, but I don't think they would anymore. No, but if we catch them doing that, they get a 50% tariff, which is that's a staggering amount.
Shoulder missiles.
Man pads, but shoulder missiles. Okay.
Shoulder missiles. Did I ever tell you this story? Never mind. I'm not going to tell this story on you. I'll tell it at some other time. But we pay the tariffs. And by the way, the tariff debacle, they spent that money. We're not getting a tariff refund. And and Howard Lutnick made off like a bandit again. So
were we supposed to get checks?
Yeah, we were supposed to get tariff checks.
Did those ever come?
No, we're not getting them. They spent that money.
Oh.
Well, I mean, I didn't expect much, but I guess they're going to sanction China. China was planning on giving them a huge shipment of man pads. I don't know if they came in yet or not, but I do know that China was arming them.
Well, you know what? China is a sovereign nation. They can arm whoever they want. The U.S. arms whoever they want.
Well, we checked in with
By the way, I want people to understand this. China has a terrorist issue from Xinjiang, from the East Turkestan Islamic Party, right? The United States listed the East Turkestan Islamic Party as a terrorist group until it delisted it some years ago. And now they are part of the governing coalition of Jolani in Syria. So the East Turkestan Islamic Party, made up of thousands of Uyghur fighters, are in Syria, training militarily to fight China, and the U.S. does not sanction them, nor does it label them terrorists, and in fact is opening up the funding through Syria via Turkey and other NATO states, as well as arms. So I just want people to know, he's pissed about China doing this. How about the U.S. actually arming a terrorist organization so that they can carry out their jihadist tendencies in China? Just want people to know that.
Interesting. Of course, now we'll get to our little segment on NATO. Of course, Trump couldn't go an interview without mentioning NATO. This is a bit long. I'll cut it off if it gets repetitive or redundant. But here he is. He goes off on NATO. He talks about Keir Starmer being like Neville Chamberlain.
Oh, God.
And did you want to say anything about our NATO allies in terms of what comes next for them, given that, I mean, is it time for them to call Iran the leading state sponsor of terrorism? And what are you going to do because they did not help in this effort?
Well, NATO is shameful. I mean, I didn't go wild at it. We didn't need any help. I would actually say, if you want to help, great. If you don't want to help, that's okay. And they said, oh, well, would rather not, sir, would rather not. They weren't there for us, If I would have done it with force, maybe I could have gotten them to come in, but they would have come in really begrudgingly, and they would have stayed way behind. No, I'm very disappointed. I mean, look at the United Kingdom. I love the United Kingdom. It's, my mother was, as you know, born in Scotland, and love it. But Mr. Starmer, PM Starmer said, we'll send the equipment after the war is over. I said, you don't need equipment when the war is over. You need the equipment before the war starts or during the war. He said, no, we'll send it after. He made a public statement that we will send equipment after the war is over. It was that will, that's a Neville Chamberlain type statement. And Germany, the same thing. He said, we didn't start this. Well, we helped them with Ukraine. It would have never happened if I was president, by the way. We would have had the problem with Russia and Ukraine, but, we had an incompetent president. But Germany said, it talked all about that we demand, and strong, we demand that this war stop. But most importantly, he said, we didn't start the war. Well, we didn't start the war with Ukraine, but we helped them. I mean, Biden gave them $350 billion. I'm not giving it. I sell things to NATO, and they do what they want with it. I guess they give it to Ukraine, but I sell things at full price.
Yeah.
And we sell it to NATO, and they do what they want with it. But think of it. To make that statement after we've spent $350 billion, they made a statement. The German statement was bad, but all the statements were bad. No, we have to re-examine NATO because they weren't there for us. And let me tell you, and I've said this for 25 years, they weren't there for us, and they won't be there for us.
Yeah.
They weren't there for us. This is just a military operation. This is not a hard thing for us. We are so much more powerful. I rebuilt our military in the first term. I'm using it in my second term.
Yep.
And we have the greatest military anywhere in the world. And now I was right with spending all that money on the military. We have the greatest military of the world. We have the greatest equipment in the world. And it's amazing what we've been able to do. You look at Venezuela. We're doing so well with Venezuela. Great time to have Venezuela. And by the way, Venezuela now is making more money than they've ever made before. And we're participating in those profits.
Right.
It's a lot to unpack there. I don't really get the reference to Neville Chamberlain, but I'm not good with the.
I get it. Neville Chamberlain is the one who said that we have peace in our time, and then of course, shortly thereafter, there was the annexation of of Czechoslovakia, the Sudetenland, and then there was the war against Poland, and the invasion of Poland. So it basically was that this is going to be a false peace, it's not going to be a real peace. And it's a farce. So that's what he's saying. It's sort of the Neville Chamberlain moment. So he's putting it at the same. Yeah. Not.
I sell things.
Yes.
I sell things.
I sell things.
I also, I kind of like balk at the numbers. We gave them 300 and whatever, 50 or 80. What did he say? Billion? Did he say billion? Okay.
Billion.
Isn't Iran's annual military budget 20 billion total? And it's like, what did Ukraine do with $350 billion? What the hell are we doing with $1 trillion?
You
know what I mean? We know. I'm saying it rhetorically, but it's like the numbers are just like staggering. It's like, come on. Like
I just want to say all the plastic surgeons made off very well.
Bandits.
All of the houses, the cars, the luxury goods, man. If you love your Italian fashion houses, they certainly have done well. If you like your little Italian city-states or, your neighboring little principalities that exist like Monaco and San Marino and all these places, they're doing very well. Malta, living life of luxury. I also want to say, he said that we didn't start the Ukraine war.
I know. I knew you were going to pull that.
Hello, 2014. Who started Maidan? Who helped to support it?
He doesn't think that belongs to us. To him, it's like it's a different America. Like once I take over, not.
Listen,
literally how these MAGA people think. They think like this is a new country. We're not responsible for the Biden stuff.
Can I do this really quick? I gotta do this really quick because it's important. So I'm gonna do this really quick because it's necessary, and I really have to put this to bed. We hear it all the time. Oh, it's not our war. Oh, we didn't do anything. But I want to point people to this, and I'm gonna share this screen. And I want people to go, if they have not gone, to read my article in Covert Action Magazine from 2022. Is the US and NATO running another Operation Gladio in Europe? And I just want to go down. I do a lot of research in depth. This is one of the best investigative reporting you'll see. And I want to go here to show you, this is when Trump is president. This is when Trump is president. This is 2020, October 14th. Trump was still president, and you had all these foreign mercenaries there. And we go down even further, and we see all of these wild cats who end up going Syria, here, there, everywhere. And there is a lot of information. And in the previous article, I put down something amazing, which a lot of people don't know. This is September 2022. Check out these two articles. The third one is not even done yet because there's so much research to go through. Look at this. January 15, 2022, there's still, you can see there's a whole trail. But look at this. From 1997 to 2021, Ukraine was a global partner for peace in NATO's program, okay? This is Trump's presidency, 2017, 18, 19, 20. Look at the increase of countries during that time period. And then, of course, 2021, Biden. But you can clearly see this is all still, a lot of this stuff is still, what is this? This is July 2021. I mean, this is just after Trump's presidency. Who gave them all the arms? So please, everybody, stop telling me that Trump had nothing to do with this. Trump, for 4 years, armed Ukraine, trained Ukraine, had American forces in Ukraine, gave Ukraine weapons to kill children in the Donbass. I will not tolerate anybody who says that Trump is a friend in this thing. And I'd say it in Russian media, and people don't like it. But Trump gave weapons to kill innocent civilians in the Donbass to the tune of over 15,000. That's a fact. So now everybody live with it. Thank you.
Well, this other clip, I'm going to let Chris do a little Bible. Well, it is Sunday, so we'll do Bible study.
Yes.
Here is Trump. Oh, wait, before I get to play the clip, it's important to note that during the 20 hours of negotiation, Trump called JD Vance 21 times. When JD Vance seemed to be softening up on their stances, Netanyahu called JD Vance. And then they came back with the final offer. And that was the end of it. So this is what Trump has to say about Netanyahu today.
Look at the Israeli relationship. Look at the incredible partnership we have on this. And, as Bibi Netanyahu said, we're the big brother and they're the small brother. And, it's been a very effective team. What we've done literally in a matter of days, within 3-4 days.
We're the big brother. Israel is the younger brother. I heard that and I was like, ching, boom. There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, the reason why I even thought of this is because thank you, Albert. If you guys don't go to Albert's spaces during the week or even just listen to them, he does like a morning show where he just kind of talks about things that rabbis say. And he plays this clip so often. And it's this rabbi kind of reciting this scripture and saying the older brother will serve the younger brother. And I was like, oh my God. So when I heard that, I was like, it just echoed in my ear and I had to grab the verse. And that's why I pulled this. And I was just like, geez, come on. But go ahead, Chris. I want to give you the floor with what you think about this. I just thought that it was interesting that we've switched from being friends and allies. This is something that I've been hearing from the Israelis as well, that we are their older brother. And we know that Benjamin Netanyahu is very obsessed with biblical language and fulfillment of certain biblical prophecies and biblical stories.
I mean, if anything, first and foremost, I don't believe genuinely that, especially far-right Israelis believe that the U.S. is the bigger and older brother.
No.
I think that they understand themselves to be that. And if they were to be very theologically generous, they would give the little brother to the U.S. But I don't think that they're willing to do that necessarily. I think they'll give the little brother to the Jews in the U.S. who are doing. Yeah, Miriam Adelson. They see the Jewish lobby in the U.S. as being the little brother who's doing the work on behalf of the big brother. But I do not imagine them to see outside of the Jewish community. Even, I mean, the greatest thing is to be righteous of the nation, but even that doesn't get you in the door necessarily. I don't think that Trump really understands what's going on. I think he's inverted it in his mind, maybe to help sell it to the American people, because now people are waking up to this fact. let's be honest. Trump publicly cannot say that Israel's a big brother, we're a little brother. How could he say that? I mean, the whole shtick is that the U.S. is the big, the best, everything
Right.
up America. So he inverts it. But for those who know, if you're in the know, you know how to unpack that. It's like a riddle. It's like numerology. Sort of
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, they love inverting things, but he really is doing this placation to the American evangelical Christians. And if we on the poll, I think we talked about it in the last episode, maybe, but on the poll, our evangelical Christians here support Bibi more strongly than our Jews do.
Absolutely.
Bibi and sorry, I have to stop saying Bibi. It's just because I'm lazy. Benjamin Netanyahu enjoys a much wider margin of support from the evangelicals than from the Jews in the United States. So he panders to that crew. And he can do that through Trump because you can get Trump to repeat anything you say. He has so much recency bias. He's just kind of spits out whatever the most recent thing he is. So Bibi really, God, Netanyahu really does speak to the evangelical Christians in
for sure, 100%.
United States.
100%.
I mean, but yeah, I do want to say, I mean, that's all I have for today. And I want to let you enjoy the rest of your night because it is Easter and you've been partying for the resurrection.
Well, just so everybody knows, I'm going to stream in 3 hours. So I'll be back. I'm going to do a special Pascha.
Is somebody coming on?
No, but I'm going to talk about Pascha. I'm going to talk about Easter.
Oh, good. Oh, amazing.
Theology one, just because it's
amazing. Okay, great. We do have big shows this week, though. We have Pepe Escobar tomorrow. It's a special show. It'll be early, 3 hours earlier than our usual time. And then we have Professor Morandi on Wednesday. He'll let us know how this blockade is going. And he was actually at the peace talks. We'll have some updates from that as well. Don't forget to go check out the Substack Juju's new article. I also uploaded a new podcast episode. Episode 4 of From Yahweh to Zion. Hopefully we'll be doing episode 6, but here, let's get to these super chats. Sorry, episode 7, lucky number 7. What genealogy company is the best? I don't know. Most people don't like those things. If you're doing, I guess, Ancestry, that's what I used. I don't know. A lot of people like 23andMe. You'd have to look
through 23andMe, Ancestry. I've done both.
Just what do you like better?
The two, and they were very similar, so that was interesting.
Oh, well, there you go. Orban supported Israel. Yeah. And you're not really you're probably not going to get a Hungarian leader anytime soon that doesn't. Yeah. That's just Hungary. Even like Peter Magyar will be maybe a more left-wing type of Zion, like the EU softer Zionism, not so much like in love with Benjamin Netanyahu, but you're not going to get a Hungary that doesn't support Israel. Orban supported Trump and the world hates Trump. Yeah, and I want the world to continue. You don't hate him enough. The world doesn't hate Trump enough yet. Thank you so much, Mo. Thank you.
Thank you, Amujan. We are the nation of Imam Hussein. That's right.
How can I sponsor one show? You don't need to sponsor a show. Just email us, ddgeopolitics@proton.me if you want us to feature a link or something on one of our accounts. I know we talked about that at the beginning of the episode. We were like, who were these committees planning on talking to? We don't even have these people. These people in America don't exist. Need somebody to find the equivalent of Galibaf in my government. I'd be like, Nancy Pelosi? Like who sits, and like who would we send that could even formulate, have a conversation with these people? These people are just brilliant. I mean, we talked to Professor Morandi on here, and he's just an absolutely brilliant human being. I can no longer tell Saturday Night Live is simply mocking the White House or showing actual clips. The other night, they actually did show actual news. And the Zionists flipped out. They were saying it's very racist and anti-Semitic. So the fallout from that. So bruh. Is Russia and China really supposed to take this guy seriously? They don't. They
yeah.
He is just never going to go away, is he? People are going to hear him talking BS from his coffin. He'll never stop. He'll never stop. He'll be making deals in hell, I guess. On our friends in Iraq, they're still posting. The channel's still active. So as far as I know,
the government is blocking just like here, but VPNs will overcome the blocking.
Cool. Good to know. Trump speaking like this and acting on these threats is why nobody should negotiate with them. They're lunatics. The Epstein regime only understands gunboat diplomacy, coups, and offing civilians.
That's true. That's true. Thank you, Deep Green.
Don't use 23andMe. It's Israeli. Thank you, Chili.
What can I do?
It's Israeli.
Everything at this point. What can I do? You know.
Well, guys, enjoy the rest of your Easter. We will be back tomorrow. Remember, it's 3 hours earlier. And Chris will be on in 3. Chris will be on in 3 hours. Or 3 and 3. Chris will be on in 3 hours, and we will be 3 hours early tomorrow. And don't forget, the oil market's open in an hour. So pay attention for that.
Here we go.
But we will see you guys tomorrow with the king of rock and roll politics, Pepe Escobar. Take care.
That's it. Take care, everyone.